Take me through what happened last week because people have had so much fun with it. And I saw a great tweet from someone that's, there's this thing for those of us who are on Twitter all day because of our jobs. The saying goes, you never want to be the star on Twitter, but you were the star for a good reason. Let me start with this. When you were speaking about the Jazz on First Take, at any point, because the clip that went viral, which is now, I checked before we started, up to 5.8 million views. It's like a 2 minute and 20-second clip. Did at any point a producer in your ear say, like, wrap it up or, bow out, let somebody, or was it all natural and it just played out the way we saw it?
No, and that's why it happened. Because First Take is a show that the A block of First Take, I've been on it when it's gone up to 25 minutes before. It's not usually scripted out to that. It's got air. Most ESPN shows, specifically the morning TV shows, first off, you're not getting 3 straight minutes of talking on one topic, and you're certainly not getting it on the Utah Jazz. And I don't say that with any animus. I mean, the ESPN shows, the topics are curated by data analysis. What you're seeing is a product of what you're watching as a collective. As I've been at ESPN 12 years now, and one of the big differences from where when I started until now was just how much analysis they have, the producers and the decision makers have on what people are watching, what they respond to. For anybody that complains about what they're seeing, they can only look to their neighbors because that's what their neighbors want to see. And so First Take is a show that, has air. And basically what happened is I was doing a podcast. That's a topic of conversation. Not only was it a topic of conversation for a podcast, I had done the topic the night before on my podcast, quite frankly. No. And so in that particular show, Stephen A was on vacation that week. I don't think this is a secret, he had shoulder surgery. I think he popped up doing a hit after the Durant trade request wearing a shoulder sling. He had surgery. He's off that time of year every year. He finally takes some time off, but he was having shoulder surgery. I was in with Mad Dog Russo for 2 or 3 days that week in First Take, and he was sort of the lead voice on First Take. And by the way, it was the first time I ever worked with Mad Dog, and I loved it, as a quick aside.
I'm a diehard. I mean, I've listened to him for 30 years here in New York, and he's quite a character. So I can't imagine, that first time when you work with him has got to be a very unique experience just because there's no personality in sports media like his.
I mean, look, I love him, and like, this is a thing, like nowadays when you say you like someone, it's like, oh, does that mean you support every single one of his views? You son of a bitch, like, I mean, no, but I really, really enjoy him, we just had this happen in the NBA. Like, this show came on HBO about the Showtime Lakers.
Right.
I have some friends in the media, like Bob Ryan, for example, who's one of the guys I respect immensely. I mean, Bob Ryan was like deeply, personally offended about that show. Like, and I get it. I mean, those are
Jerry West stuff. Just for people who don't know.
Trust me, I got the full blast from Bob Ryan when I saw him, and Mark Stein, my colleague, he was, who had known Jerry West for such a long time. Like, these folks are like super upset. And I'm like, if you made a show about people I'd known for 30 years and it was like way off, I get it. I'm not judging him, but Jimmy, I really liked it.
Me too.
Really, really liked John C. Reilly as Jerry Buss. I'm sorry if that makes me a bad person, but I liked it. I like Mad Dog Russo. Okay. I like it. So I had a really good time working with him, but he was out on Friday. He was not doing the show. I don't know where he was, but people were on vacation, and so like, the set was made up of, with all due respect to my coworkers, there was fill-ins. And so when it came to the NBA, I had the floor in that show. And
you used it.
I turned it into a podcast is what I did. Is what I did.
Now, when you spoke about the Jazz in that 2-minute clip, did you know Rudy Gobert was going to be traded or was on the block, or there was a possibility that was going to happen?
I knew he was likely to be traded. You always got to be careful with this verbiage.
Right.
I was pretty sure he had almost been traded the night before. So, you're never in, that's the thing with covering the NBA. You're never in the room where it happens, typically. So you're never 100% sure. But I was pretty sure Gobert was about to get traded. And
so,
yeah.
You go ahead.
And there was just, this, the Durant stuff had been covered like intently for 20 hours. And this was something that was very interesting. That was a curveball. You're not always going to be able to generate that kind of storyline. It was sort of a perfect little moment. But I had talked about it on my podcast the night before, and it was like effectively the dry run. And, when you do First Take and Get Up in the morning, the studios are side by side. They're about maybe 50 feet apart across a hallway with a bathroom in between. And I normally have to stop in the bathroom real quick. And like literally it's like almost like a pit crew. You Get Up ends. One person comes over to handle your microphone. One person comes over to handle your earpiece. You walk to the next set holding your microphone cord in one hand and your earpiece cord in the other. And they, vroom, vroom, drill you both in and bam, you're on. It's like, less than 3 minutes between when I'm off First Take or when I'm off Get Up and on First Take. I don't do it every day, but I've done it many times.
Yeah.
And I had communicated with the producers of the show. And as we entered that, they knew that I had this jazz stuff. And as we entered that segment, the producer was in my ear and he said, "Go ahead. This is where you do that." And I don't think he knew, he had the basic understanding. He didn't know, he didn't know exactly what I was going to say or what I was going to set up and doing. And look, the other part of that show is that they have a whole bunch of different cameras at all kinds of different angles. It's, by the way, Sam Tanucci was the producer who, I'm not saying he was the only person, but he was the person who was in my ear who was like, go for it. But they have a whole bunch of different cameras and angles. The cameras are 360. And so they have different angles that they can set, that sort of made it more possible to capture the angles I was going at. And so I don't know if I'll ever have something like that again. I will say that if you like hearing that kind of stuff, the Hoop Collective podcast has been around literally for years. We do it twice a week, pretty much year round. And this is the type of conversations we have. I can't promise they're all going to have that sort of mysterious delivery with instantaneous payoff that happened within like 3 hours or whatever. But sometimes it is. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah. Bad job by me. I should have mentioned at the top when I introduced you that you are part of the Hoop Collective podcast, which people can find on
it's fine. I don't
Apple,
care.
Spotify, and everywhere.
I'm not trying to promote it or anything, but
no, I should have promoted it. You're nice enough to come on. I'm not one of these podcast people that won't promote other podcasts. I'll promote any podcast. I don't care. So tell me, and so you set it up perfectly there, and it was just phenomenal the way it played out, because when it first happened, and that video hit Twitter, it was, the response was like, "This is funny." Brian Windhorst is going on a long explanation of talking about the Jazz, which, like you said, not exactly a sexy NBA team that people get into, and his coworkers were sort of, watching him on this masterpiece, the way you were using your hands and everything, and we thought it was that. And then a few hours later, the Gobert trade happens, and everyone's like, "Oh, ho, 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 let's give Brian Windhorst his props." I want to know how you found out, what your reaction was when that trade became official. Obviously, it sounds like you knew it was going to happen, but take me where you
I didn't know for sure it was going to happen. Look, right. You want the real here?
Yeah.
We live in an era where people like me, when I say stuff on radio or TV or podcasts, a group of aggregators come down on it and will pick the news out of it and present it, a lot of times out of context. Now, I am not taking a position that is some sort of crime, because that is what sports writers do for athletes. We listen to 12 minutes of an interview, and we will pick out 4 sentences and put them in a story. I will say that the experience over the last 5 to 7 years of getting aggregated has completely changed the way I handle quotes from athletes. I totally think about them differently and try to be way more sensitive. Having said that, I am a part of shows on ESPN every single day that is doing the type of aggregation that also happens to me. And as a result, I feel like sometimes I have to walk a tightrope. Is straight. This is some sort of winding path over a crocodile, nest, because like Jimmy, dozens, hundreds of times I will have done a radio interview, literally go a day or go 12 hours and do 7 other interviews. And my phone will light up and it's an agent or an executive, or even my desk at ESPN going, "What is this?" And it's like in the link, and it'll say report : and my heart instantaneously sinks. Right. And like sometimes I've literally gone through 24 to 48 hours of hell over something that is aggregated from something that I said, where literally it was like the 15th. I'm not exaggerating when I say 15th, where I've said something 15 times. Sometimes where I've said something 15 times over like years. But for whatever reason, that time and the way it's presented creates a 3-alarm fire. And so what I was doing in that that discussion was basically trying to avoid aggregation. I mean, definitely I was having some fun with it because that particular story, that particular moment had a nice little storyline that I could maneuver. Like I was writing a story, like I was talking a podcast. But if I had come on there and said, "Hey, league executives are telling me that Rudy Gobert might be getting traded soon," kaboom! Like I would be, the next 11 shows. What is your Rudy Gobert information? What is the latest with Rudy Gobert? What is the latest? And like, I was pretty sure he's getting traded, but I wasn't prepared to like say that. And like, I'm constantly, because I'm in my job, they say, "Here's our NBA insider." And so my job is to deliver inside information, but I don't, not everything I say has the same weight. And there's nuance, but that nuance is exploded by aggregation because everything can look like a headline. And
how did you find out officially Gobert was traded?
Oh, I was on This Just In.
Okay.
I was on Just This Shin, and Woj tweeted about it. It was funny. The day before, I had heard about 30 hours before Durant asked for a trade, I had heard Durant was going to ask for a trade. And of course, I can't say that because if I say that, it's a 17 alarm fire. And like I am being poked by 1,000 different things. But I knew that there was, and by the way, just because I heard it, I mean, Kevin could have changed his mind. So I knew, and Tim Bontemps, who was with me on This Just In, knew that there was a chance that Durant was going to ask for a trade before the start of free agency. We knew about it. We had talked about it with our sources. We had talked about it with ourselves. So, just like when DeJounte Murray gets traded for the Hawks, Tim and I were on air. I can't remember what show we were. Oh, I think we were on, we might've been on Get Up. Or maybe we were doing a podcast, whatever it was. Tim and I were on air when that happened earlier in the week. And instantaneously, Tim and I, we'd already talked about all our sources. Within 5 seconds of hearing it, we were able to give analysis of it because we were prepared for it. So the day before on This Just In, Tim and I were off. We were sitting over on the side, and the Woj report comes through, and it had actually been getting ready. The Big Ten, I'm sorry, I'm rambling here, Jimmy. The Big Ten had just done the thing with USC and UCLA, and they were lining up Pete Thamel to be, in fact, we were in a break, and Pete Thamel was lining up his shot and getting all ready, and he's talking to Dan Graziano, and we were getting ready to go, and Tim and I were off on that segment. And then we see the trade. And then we see the story, and we didn't even wait for the producers. We just stood up. Tim and I stood up and started walking to the set. We were in break, and we're like, well, we're going to be on this segment. They're blowing out poor Pete. because I've been on the
Yeah.
other side of that, by the way. I've been on the other side where
Oh
we're
yeah.
doing some, routine NBA segment, and some NFL player is out for the year or something, and you're
Right.
gone. Get out of here, Windhorst.
Right.
And so the next day we're again in break, and I was on set, and Tim was off set, and Tim texts me, "Well, the Gobert trade's done," and they blow up the rundown, and but again, I had been preparing for Gobert trade stuff for days.